I'm Amy. I work at Jamf in Communications. I'm delighted to be here today to host this session. I think you all know by now that you can submit questions via the app that I will see and ask when we have the time. Other than that, just really happy to invite our friends John and Noor from IBM to the stage.
Hey everybody, I'm Jonathan Crowher. I'm the engineering lead for the Mac at IBM program, and joining me today is Noor Jabaya. She's one of our platform engineers with extensive experience with Jamf Pro. We're both based out of New York City. So for our talk today, we'd like to put the spotlight on everyone's favorite software delivery system, self-service. We use self-service quite extensively within IBM and wanted to share some of the ways that you can drive engagement to the app and potentially lessen your own workload, along with just providing a crafted experience for your employees. We'll be focusing on the Mac OS store, but many of these items are also available for the iOS self-service. We'll cover why self-service should be a central pillar of your managed fleet, how you can best improve the usability of the store and make it into something that your employees will want to use. Why you should include useful custom workflows alongside traditional software installs, which add a depth to the experience. And then last but not least, we'll discuss a method for keeping your custom branding fresh while not requiring a lot of manual upkeep.
Thanks, John. Thanks, John. So why did we focus on fine-tuning the user experience with self-service? First and foremost, and like many of you, it is the primary way that our users engage with IT. At IBM, they are empowered to leverage a very curated self-service experience to access software, remediate IT issues, and access a myriad of resources. And it's all just one click away. Often, it's music to my ears when I hear IBMers sharing in our corporate Slack that they found a solution in self-service. Just a moment of pride, and I love to see it. They can find those resolutions in the Mac at IBM App Store. That's what we renamed self-service in our organization. Out of the box, we found self-service to be really functional, but we wanted it to even better fit our needs. And by making some adjustments and customizations, you can make self-service honestly feel almost like an in-house tool. All right, with all that in mind about self-service, we have done a number of things to improve how our employees use self-service at IBM. As John had alluded to earlier, we will take a closer look at each of these throughout the presentation, but generally, we have focused on usability improvements. We have done so by leveraging Markdown for consistent and clear text formatting of our policy descriptions, updated our policy icons and self-service to have a clean and modern look, modified category priorities to even further curate the experience and prompt user action, and also by converting all of our bookmarks to instead leverage policies by using a simple and reusable script. All right, so Markdown. So in Jamf Pro, you can use Markdown in various locations where you may want to display a message to your users. While we will focus on macOS self-service policies, you can do the same thing in iOS self-service to curate how the descriptions look to your end users. In our environment, we do require that our users view the policy descriptions before they execute the policy. And for those reasons, it's really important that we're really clear and concise with how we display information to them. We focus on communicating to them in an easy-to-read manner. No? Okay. Actually, can you go back a slide?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. All right, as you can see here in the policy description, you can see in the edit view, bolded text, italicized text, bullet points, and hyperlinks. And all these together can be used to show a very easy to read policy description From there, you can use all those tools to build a scheme to use consistently in your organization. Right. Another really awesome Markdown feature that we leverage extensively at IBM are comment tags. These are a really great way to enhance the search functionality of self-service. Using comment tags just really adds some dynamicism to the search in self-service. You can see here in the example, if you have an application that had a name change, or maybe one that your organization deprecated in favor for another, the search tag, the hidden tag, can be added to the policy edit, and you can find then what you're looking for. So in our organization, a really simple example was we had converted the AnyConnect application was renamed to Cisco Secure Client, and if our users had searched for AnyConnect in self-service, they wouldn't have been able to find it, because without the hidden tag, the only search results would come from what the text is in the policy description or in the policy title. So by adding that comment tag, they can now search for AnyConnect, and Cisco Secure Client will show in the search result. Another really easy example of that is, say your org was leveraging Zoom, and then they're like, nope, no Zoom. You guys are going to use WebEx. So if you type Zoom, you can add that comment tag, and if they search for Zoom, which they're used to doing, WebEx will show, and it just adds another level of friendliness to self-service. It's also a really simple way to cut down on calls to the IT support desk.
So I actually really like that tag feature. I think that we were able to leverage that really well within IBM. But what about like the visual side of things? A store without like nice icons is kind of a drab and forgettable experience. It's important to pick icons or use icons that will draw attention to your policies and encourage your employees to engage with your store. With all that in mind, it's a good practice to make sure that your icons are fresh and up to date. You want to kind of follow the OS design language and change your icons accordingly so that it feels like it's a cohesive experience. On this slide, we've kind of shown a progression of our old icons to our newer ones. And we try to adhere to Apple design principles along with our own internal design guidelines. And it helps to make it like a meld of an Apple product, and then for us, an IBM one. If your company offers iconography, you should use it. Try to leverage it in your icons. Then when your employees go to the store, they see that it looks like it's a trusted part of the platform. It makes sense to them. The device looks like it's it's legitimate. And so if you're not really an artistic type of person, that's okay. There's plenty of open source icons that you can leverage on the internet. Or you can even pull icons directly out of macOS and use those. So with all that in mind, how can we effectively showcase items in the store to our end users? If you've used Jamf Pro at all, you probably have created some categories for yourself, assigned policies to them in order to try to clean up and make it a little bit more orderly so you can find things for yourself. But have you ever tried to like modify categories for priority and then reorder kind of the default ones, or make your own and move them up and down within the sidebar? What about assigning multiple categories to the same priority? Well, with smart groups assigned to particular policies, and those policies link to categories with high priority, you can create scenarios where categories appear and disappear on the store depending on need. So maybe you want to highlight software installs for a particular operating system, or inform a user that they need to perform a critical function. Once those policies are run and completed and the device falls out of scope, then the category also disappears, which cleans up the interface. And so you can create this dynamic experience that makes the user understand that things are happening, and it's just overall it's nice and neat, I guess. So.
Continuing on with making your self-service implementation dynamic and useful, another effort we made was to stop using the built-in bookmarks feature in Jamf Pro and instead achieve the same result by using policies. The process here is fairly simple. We use a script that runs a detection to check if intranet access is available and then open to a defined URL. The script is modular, as you can see here, on the screen with the policy edit view. Because we are using parameters, you can easily pop in a new bookmark and define if that bookmark requires a VPN check or not, if it's accessing an internal resource. By offering bookmarks via policy, self-service can be updated instantly instead of waiting for devices to do a framework update. This keeps all resources highly available to your employees. Now that we've gotten through all those usability improvements, we can get into some really awesome custom workflows that we have deployed in our own environment. Obviously, we love using IBM Notifier at IBM, and we especially enjoy using it to further enhance the user experience with self-service. A challenge many of us face with maintaining security compliance is clearly communicating those requirements to our users. In the example that you can see here, we have a screenshot of a compliance workflow that we have in place at IBM. This policy runs a script that checks for various defined compliance markers and then uses IBM Notifier to display to the user with either a green check mark or a red X to indicate if that compliance marker is satisfied or not. In the case where a user has something that is out of compliance, a different screen is displayed that informs them that they are not compliant, and they will be given a few options. One, to either run this compliance check workflow again, or two, to go directly to a tool that helps them resolve their compliance issue. Okay. On this side, we're showing just a few more examples of custom workflows that we have configured. These are both policies meant to be used exclusively by our IT support staff at IBM when troubleshooting with our employees. So we try to declutter our self-service as much as possible and only show policies that pertain to our users when they need them. So we try not to have extraneous policies that apply only to a niche group of people. So these ones, for example, our IT support desk are able to leverage an extension attribute to show these policies on the user machine, and then they can allow them to easily upload logs directly from that machine up to Box for further evaluation. This really just saves our IT support staff quite a bit of time, and they can quickly and easily access and upload the files that they need when remoting into our employees' machines. All right, so here, John alluded to this slide earlier. You'll see two GIFs looping through here. This is just to help further illustrate how you can customize your user experience in self-service. I give you the tale of two enrollments. So on my left-hand side, you'll see a device that is on what we've deemed considered a compliant operating system. So this is just capturing the tail end of our enrollment workflow, which we wrap up by opening self-service to a category named Welcome to Mac at IBM. This category displays resources that help our users get started right away. So the compliant one opened to that category, and they got a bunch of resources, right? The second screen here shows a device that is determined to be on a Mac OS version that is not compliant. So that same workflow is running, but as you can quickly see, leave your screen, the VPN and wireless certificates are not deployed because on our side, we confirm that they're not compliant, so we're not going to complete the enrollment fully. The prompt informs the user that their enrollment status and requires them to acknowledge that they will update their machine and gives them the option of directly in the self-service to update their device. So these are running the same workflow, but the end result to the user is dynamically modified depending on the conditions of the machine. Now John will go into self-service branding, which I think what he's done is honestly really cool, and how you can use it to make self-service feel like an in-house application and engage with your users even further.
So our last topic, self-service branding. You may have already configured your own custom images in your store and then just kind of forgot about it because you typically just do it once and then that's it. But what if it didn't have to be that way? You could make your store seem more dynamic and give your employees something fun to look at while hopefully encouraging them to visit and keep using self-service. So luckily for you, most of the work is done. With this script, you can set it up to run on a schedule and to have it swap out images that have been previously uploaded. You may want to have like a themed banner for every month of the year, or maybe you want to do something custom to highlight like company functions, that kind of stuff. The only limit is really your imagination. Once the initial configuration has been set, the process will just run without any input from you. And because it's automated, it's a consistent experience for your end users. I'm sure many will sit at their computers, frantically refreshing at midnight, waiting for their new banners.
I know they do.
Yeah,
I know they do.
I do the same thing at mine, so I understand. So you don't necessarily have to have all of your banners ready at once. You can configure the script to only swap out the banners that you have available, and then as you create more, you would run the configuration mode again, and that would just add them to their rotation. You can also swap out older banners that you no longer want to use or replace with relative ease. So, oh, I forgot this switch over. So, yeah, and it's cool. So wouldn't you want to be the envy of your peers and show them your dynamic branding system? I mean, that's pretty cool, especially if you have Nick Cage pictures, and everyone loves Nick Cage, of course. So, here's a snippet of the script that we've provided here. There's a parameter, a command line parameter that you would use to separate the normal run from the configuration upload run. And so the script needs to be run at least once in configuration mode in order to generate all of the IDs that you're going to need. They'll be logged in a separate file for reference. So once the script has executed and you go into your log file, you'll find the names of your banners along with the associated IDs. At the very top of the script, you'll see two different arrays. There'll be one for banners and then one for icons, which is completely optional. You don't necessarily have to upload icons every month. It might confuse your employees. So the script itself has a bunch of instructions that kind of explain how you're supposed to populate the array, but the gist is that the first element 0, is kind of like your control element. That's where your default banner will go. And then elements 1 through 12 are for the months of the year. So 1 for January, 2 February, all the way up to 12 for December. So sorry, I lost my place. Once you've populated the arrays and you actually start to run it, like say for example on February 1st, when the script executes, it will look at the array and pull out ID number or element number 2, populate that ID, and then update your configuration branding. So aside from those, the two array that you would need to populate, there's a couple other variables that you'll also need to provide information for. So like your Jamf Pro server URL, credentials, that kind of thing. So last, of course, is this script was written specifically to utilize the new API role and client feature that was introduced in 1049. So as most of you are probably already on Jamf Cloud, you are on 1049 at least, maybe 1050. But if you're on an on-prem instance, then you need to make sure that you've updated the software before trying to use this. So creating the API role is pretty straightforward. You just need to give your role a name and then assign it both the read and update configuration branding privileges. After that, you create the client, just give it a friendly name, and then associate it with the role that you just created. Once that's done, there'll be a button that says to click the, or create the client secret, so you do that. And then you take both the client ID and the secret, and populate those variables within the script. So also, of course, you should create a branding configuration prior to this, because if you don't, then the script will fail because it's expecting something to already be there.
Thank you, John, for those details. And just as a reminder, you can find the script in the session resources. Along with the script, at the very bottom of it, we've actually also included a sample launch daemon for scheduling this on macOS. And also for those who prefer, there's a sample cron type entry for running on Linux. The script contains a lot of comments of how it works and what to do, but of course, you can always reach out to our team on Slack. We're always hanging out at the Mac IBM open source channel on the Mac admin Slack if you have any questions. Last and most definitely not least, we've included some fun banners. You got a sneak peek of those actually, and you're free to use those in your test environments that you have. We have a lot of test environments at IBM, and we do love to have fun with it, so we hope you guys like to do that too. If you're at somebody who likes to impose Nick Cage on your teammates, like sometimes you'll swap all the icons to Nick Cage, really it's just a great opportunity to use a feature to add a dynamic and cool experience to self-service for your users. All right, that wraps us up. You guys are awesome. Apologies for the hiccups there. But we actually have one activity for everybody. I know some of you, I saw you guys, and I saw that some of you had seen some hidden Nick Cage faces that we have throughout the presentation. So we actually have a little prize. And the way you can get this prize is if you guess how many Nick Cage faces we have hidden throughout the presentation. And I'd like to think that I hid some really well. Like, some were really well hidden.
Pretty crafty.
So we'll take hands, and whoever can get the right number, you get a really cool tumbler. Sorry, online folks, but you get a really cool tumbler, and it does have a picture of Nick Cage also. So feel free to raise your hands, and we can take it from there. And after that, we'll have questions. Peter? 4, okay. Anybody else? Go ahead. 12, okay. Go ahead. 13, right there. How many? 5, back there? 11, okay. Over there? 8, okay. 8 is the closest. We'll take one more. Well, now I said it. Now I already give it away. Okay. I know, I ruined it. We're going to go with this guy. Thank you so much. We actually had 9 hidden. And actually, if we want to scroll up, we can show a few that we did, but we don't have to.
Oh, well, I left the
okay.
pointer over there.
It's gone. We can't do it anymore.
You'll just have to imagine the 9th one.
Yeah.
Just pretend it.
Yeah.
So.
But okay. And at this point, we can just take any questions. Oh, that's yours.
Awesome. There are some questions, and you did, in some ways, already address the most important and upvoted question, which is, has Nicolas Cage been directly involved in the making of these slides?
Well.
That's his question. He knows him personally, so,
I'm going to get sued now. Yes, and so if you've seen any of my other presentations that I do, I always try to reference Nick Cage in any way that I can because I think it's fun. He's great. I really enjoy him, not ironically. So he speaks to me, I think, in a way that...
and all of us. And all of us.
Let me tell you a story.
That's awesome.
That's all I have to say.
There's a lot of smiles going around thanks to your love of Nick Cage, so appreciate it. What method are you using to remove the old icons and add replacements? Are you using the API?
So it is using the API, and we are not removing the icons because there is no way to do so.
That's a good question.
I actually thought about talking about that. So if we were doing a lot of our own manual branding, constantly updating things, which is why we wrote this to begin with. We wanted something that was much more consistent and could take care of it. What I realized was every time you went into the console and you changed the branding, it would just upload a new version of it. And so we would have all of these duplicates in our database of the same banner. And so what this does is it only uploads it once, and those sit resident in your database. And then we just change it via the API to reference the original ID that was created when it was uploaded. So that way you're not cluttering your database by re-uploading multiple banners of the same type. And that's kind of the reason why it has to be configured the way that it is. It's to cut down on database load and to prevent duplicates.
Awesome, thank you. You touched on it a little bit, showing the workflow, bringing your new employees into your self-service instance. Question here is, how does your IT department market and introduce the new employees to self-service? Is there anything beyond that kind of catch to get them there?
Yeah, every employee, there's a portal that they access to tell them about enrollment, and we do have screenshots in our documentation walking them through on day one what to expect on their device. So as part of that onboarding, they are already familiar with self-service. In addition to that, is there anything beyond that?
No, I think
Yeah, just in the general, hey,
Great.
here's your Mac and here's what to expect. But yeah, we have screenshots of self-service in there.
I would also say that it's word of mouth too. Like,
Yeah.
Sure.
as the program has been around for a while, like we have community channels where people can ask and like, hey, how do I do this? And people are like, check the store. That's where you should go. And so we're
Right.
constantly driving people to the store because that's where most of the resources are.
That's actually the most important point, John. The community drives people there. Like as I said earlier, a lot of the time, if we're in our Slack, people are saying, "Hey, you can find this in self-service." So there is a little bit of work already done
Right.
because our IBMers are so self-sufficient and our IT empowered themselves,
Right.
and so they go in there and help each other out quite often.
That's fantastic, and it reminds me of Jamf, right? There's
Yeah.
quite a few things we do internally that it takes the whole village.
Yeah.
And because we also, everybody's kind of looking for their own answers, as soon as you figure out you can, it's pretty sticky. You're going to go back there again,
Yeah.
right? There was a specific question here about a prevalent bug. Just one second.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
My
Have you
favorite.
found a way to deal with the prevalent bug in self-service where notifications for app updates keep showing up after they've been installed?
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Knowing laugh.
we don't use notifications. So,
Sorry.
So we have our own custom method for notifying employees when they have updates available in the store. We leverage IBM Notifier. We're a very large organization. The notification queue isn't really designed for something at our size, so we needed to come up with something that was timely to be able to provide information to employees so that they can act upon
Yeah.
those update policies.
So nothing about the bug specifically, we just have our own
All right.
solution. Yeah.
Perfect.
We feel your pain. So.
Yeah.
I do have to point out that many folks have upvoted that the resources are awesome.
Oh, they saw the
resources are
pictures.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is great. I'm not seeing any other upvoted questions at this time. Are there any questions in the room?
Don't be shy. Now's your chance.
And of course, if you want, you can find these guys probably somewhere on a movie set later.
That's right.
Oh,
Which is
right.
a
My,
regular, normal place to run into people.
My private plane is waiting for me. So.
Nick Cage will or will not be.
We invited him.
Okay.
He's
Yeah.
he's
on
actually
the list,
He's
you know.
flying, so that's right.
Fabulous. Cool. Well, if we don't have other questions, yes, please.
I'm just curious, IBM is not generally known as a humor-friendly company, at least outside.
What?
So
I assume you are, my question of your management is okay with jocularity?
Yeah.
it was their first mistake to hire me. So whenever I go to JNUC or any type of conference, I feel like I can retain information more often if the person that's presenting it is doing it in a comedic manner, something like that, because you kind of can do that association with it. And so not all my jokes land, but I try to at least provide some sort of entertainment so that it's something that maybe you think about later. So.
Yeah. But also to answer that question, yes, our management is great. So
Phenomenal.
they are very laugh-friendly. So.
I did see another question come in. Will you repeat the API permissions required to implement the script?
Sure. So it was read and update, configuration branding, I think. When you go into the API role, you can actually start typing in and it will auto-fill, and then you can just select the ones you need. You just need create and, read and update. So.
Okay, great. One more call out to the room, otherwise we will release you into the hallways, my friends. All right, awesome. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you both.
Thanks.